Because it's twisted so much, you're exposed to the bad thing. Sexual impurity. Maybe it's a website, maybe it's a video, a movie that you see. Maybe you find a stash that belonged to a relative, a parent, someone, brother or sister. Maybe with your friends that just out of curiosity, somehow you experienced some type of sexual impurity, or maybe even worst of all, you were abused in some way. And you're exposed to some impurity. And then what happens is, once that happens, you retain a mental injury. A mental injury. And I know that you'll relate to this. You can understand this. I can remember when I was in 5th grade, 4th grade, I'm not sure the grade. I went over to a friend's house to spend the night. There were 3 of us there, and his parents were asleep, and we were up watching TV. And they flipped the channel, and on came a movie that was inappropriate. And I saw some things there. I saw the impurity. And I'd never seen it before. And this may sound weird to some of you, but some of you will totally relate to this. If I tried really hard, I could probably remember some of those very things that I saw. It was as if it was burned on the hard drive of my brain. And I sustained, just as we all have, a mental injury of something that was impure. And then once you sustain the mental injury, the next thing is you become sexually confused. Because there's part of you that enjoyed it. And then there's part of you that thinks, man, it's dirty, it's shameful, and I feel guilty. And it's very similar to the book of Romans chapter 7, when the Apostle Paul is talking about sin, not necessarily this one in particular, but he's talking about in general how it's just like it's got a hole and you don't know which way to go. It's like, I don't want to do it, but I do it. And it's just this tug that is going back and forth, and you feel that way. And you go through periods of self-hatred over that shame, or then even maybe trying to justify the shame. And then after that begins to come, then you begin to experience periods of sexual sobriety, followed by sexual binges. And at that point is when it can go to a lot of different degrees and levels, and for some people it begins to hook and pull very, very deeply. I want to read a few testimonies of some people that we don't know. They're not members of this church, but they're people that have confessed to other people about their struggle with this issue. And I'm going to read them. The first one is someone that says, I used to have a devastating addiction to pornography. I don't know if I'm truly over it or not. The images are burned into my mind and I cannot get them out. That's the mental injury. If I ever want to binge on porn, I don't have to go online or to an adult bookstore. I simply close my eyes. And there's someone that has sustained an injury that is so devastating that it cannot be avoided. Here is someone that writes this. Many men in my life group have confessed to this being a problem at some point in their life, but never any women. I am a woman, a mother, a Christ follower who masturbates and views porn online. I'm so ashamed by this, yet it seems totally separate from who I am. I have attended church every week, and I go to a life group and various Bible studies, and yet I have had this issue for many years and watched porn alone for the last few years. I want to be free, but I also enjoy it while being sickened at the same time. There's the struggle of a woman who is struggling with that. And the last one I read is this. I lead a double life. On the surface, I'm a great husband, father, and a businessman. I'm active in church. I have a deep addiction to homosexuality. I did things in college I wasn't proud of. I married my high school sweetheart when I graduated. Now, I've been spending more time with a fellow church member, and we have done things we are not proud of. We find reasons to sneak out of the house and to lie about our wives. And that one actually, they went on to say that that after writing it, confessing that, they're beginning to come clean, and they're beginning to tell their wives about the issue, beginning to confess to people, and they're praying that they will get help, and they will be healed from the injury. Now, we don't know those people, but for some of you sitting here today, it would say, that could have been me. That could have been my thing that I just wrote right there. So you have a wound that is just gaping, and you try to keep it a secret for years. Well, what do you do? What do you do from that point on? How do we fix that, okay? Let me tell you a quick story. Several years ago, I was watching a Chiefs game. By the way, anybody pay attention to the draft yesterday? I was just kind of a little side note. I was kind of listening down the radio. It sounded like we did pretty good. I'm not really sure about that, but it sounds like we were... Anyway, I was watching a Chiefs game a few years ago, and I don't remember what year it is, and some of you will probably remember the game, but I remember the Chiefs were playing the Jets. And there was a play, and I don't remember the name of the people, but it was the Jets players, a couple of defenders came around to sack the quarterback, and they ran into each other like head on. Does anybody remember that game? And one of the guys sustained a horrible head and neck injury. I remember they actually had to stop the game for like 10, 15 minutes. And I remember one of the team physicians went out there, and they didn't even take the guy's helmet off. As he got down there, and he stood down there behind the guy and held his helmet and his neck so that it would not move. And he was that way from the time it happened, the time he got to him, to the time that they went off the field, and even to later. Now why do they do that? It's because a head injury and a neck injury is so serious that if it's not protected, it could cause damage that could affect you the rest of your life, and you could lose control of your limbs, be paralyzed. And so they take great care to protect the wound. That is the same thing with a sexual injury, is you have to protect the wound. How do you protect the wound? Simple, three simple things. Number one, you protect that wound. Number one, control your eyes. Control your eyes. Matthew 5:27. You've heard it said, do not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out and throw it away. Gosh, are you serious? Okay, that's Jesus talking. Does he really mean that? Okay, if he really means that, then that means that most of us, and maybe even all of us in here, wouldn't be seeing right now. We shouldn't be. Okay? Because we need to just go ahead and get those things out of there. We've already messed up in that. No, he wasn't talking literally about that. But what he was doing was letting us know how serious this topic is. Job 31:1, I promised myself never to stare with desire at a young woman. The issue is you got to learn to control your eyes. Whenever you see something, the minute you see it, look away. Let me tell you what, they've got this wonderful invention right here. It's called your neck. And it can do all sorts of things. Okay? Protect the wound means protecting your eyes. And when you see something that could literally hook you, you just learn to look away. And you train yourself, look away. You're at the gym. Okay, saw that? Look away. At the movie theater. Okay, look away. And literally, that sounds a little goofy, and you may look a little bit funny, but do it. It's important. It's serious. We're talking about a mental wound. I cannot think. Oh, here's another one right here. These little things right here. Eyelids. Check out what they can do. I see you, now I don't. I see you, now I don't. It's so cool I can make you all disappear. Okay? Protect the injury. Close your eyes. At the movie, close your eyes. It might seem a little goofy to some of you, but I'm very serious. You said, gouge it out, throw it away. Protect. You can literally train your eyes to bounce off of things, and it helps to protect that wound. So that mental image that's burned on there can become less and less and less, and you can get on the track where you need to be. Number two, not just control your eyes, but capture sinful thoughts. 2 Corinthians 10:4. The weapons we fight with are not weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. And we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. Whenever a thought begins to go on that bad sex route, on that perverted sex route, we capture that. And we say, no, I'm not going to go with that thought. I capture it and I make it obedient to Christ Jesus. And then we do this right here, Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about some such things. So we get off of the thoughts that are wrong and get them on the thoughts that are right. Control our eyes, capture our thoughts. And 3 is we run for our life. Run for your stinking life.